All right, I guess we can just get started today. We'll wait for everybody else to join in. So welcome to HR Lancers Live, a kind of monthly community hangout for members of the hrlancers.com community. I'm Chris Russell, the founder and chief lancer of the site. Kind of wanted to start out with intros. So if everybody on the call wants you just to introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, city-wise, and then what your specialty is as well. I'm curious what all you guys do as well. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Maureen, go ahead.
I'm Maureen Droste. I'm from northern New Jersey. I have just recently lost my position with a toy company after 5.5 years of being the head of HR there. And now I'm on the search for my next role. So I'm happy to today, to talk to other HR representatives and, get a feel of what else is going on out there.
Yep.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
No problem. You said, where are you from? I forgot.
I'm from Riverville, New Jersey.
New
Jersey.
Very good. Shannon, how about you?
Sure. I'm from, and I am a for HR and accounting. I have 2 senior certifications but I grew up in accounting. So I'm kind of one of those weird dual ladder people. But it's worked out well in consulting. I've been able to help a lot of small businesses, and that's my love, is helping small businesses succeed.
Gotcha. And I missed where you were from.
Arizona.
Oh, okay. Very good. My dad's in Mesa. Let's see. Katy, how about you?
Hi, I'm Katy Madden, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas. And I have been an HR executive more on the HR business partner side of the world for over 15 years. And I left my most recent position in January to be with family for a little bit and then get back out there. And then COVID happened. And so I've been dabbling in the consulting world and doing a little bit here and there, executive searches, and a little bit outside of the business partner world, and then doing a little bit for small businesses, but just really, I would love to ideally just do consulting and just kind of trying to figure that out. I'm not great at marketing myself. And so just trying to work through that.
Okay. Well, hopefully today I'll give you some tips around that.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you.
Lori, how about you? Tell us where you're from and what you do.
Hi, I'm Lori Lastowski, and I'm from Tampa, Florida. And my company, I have my own company, HRPT Consulting.
Okay.
I actually specialize in HR technology. So nice. I help mid-sized to large companies implement an HR software, an HCM system, an HRIS, everybody calls them. They're slightly different, but they're out there. So I got into this when I was laid off in 2017, because I previously worked as a director of payroll in several companies and also implemented systems through many different companies and industries, and I really enjoyed that. So I'm now helping clients either implement it or enhance it, because they have all these add-ons. But just like, I think it was Katy, or who was just talking, Katy or Shannon, I'm not good at marketing myself. The clients I have were through networking, and I was good in person, and I am really inept when it comes to the social media. I know big technology things, but I don't know the social media.
Gotcha. Well, it's good to have you. And yeah, I'm a fellow HR techie myself, so I love setting up ATSs and job board software and that kind of stuff. So glad you could join us today. Does anybody have any good news to share? Maybe a new client win? Just any good news around their business at all? Nothing yet. All right.
Just that the COVID has hit a lot of businesses, unfortunately, but in the HR consulting world, they're needing us more than ever. So it's even though some clients kind of dwindle, the others need us drastically. So it's worked out for those in HR, I think, that are consulting out there.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that, consulting in the HR space is going to, get a boost out of this if there's any good news. Because I do think that a lot of them are cutting their departments, and, the recruiters in HR who are left are doing a lot more with less. And so they're going to need consultants, I think, coming out of this, especially next year, coming out of this, to help, come back and bridge some of those gaps overall. So fingers crossed that we all take part in that recovery. So, all right. So it can be a very informal show today. So stop me anytime around asking questions. I'm going to basically share my screen and just talk about stuff that I do, and kind of go from there. So we can kind of go off into tangents if we need to, but basically I want to talk about content marketing today. And I've been, as I share my screen, I've been basically writing, podcasting, blogging for, 15 plus years probably. And at this point, it's now kind of second nature for me in terms of just banging out a piece of content overall. I read somebody messaged me, an HR news site messaged me yesterday, said, "Hey Chris, you feel like doing another blog post for us?" And I said, "Sure." So I banged one out in like an hour, about 600 words. It's a fairly short one, but you learn to do this stuff as you go on. It gets easier with time overall. I want to talk about curation first. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I've done a lot with curating content. This is one of my websites I run, recruitingheadlines.com. HR Tech Feed is another one. And these are basically curation news aggregators. So I pull in feeds from blogs, take their RSS feed, if you know what those are. And using a plugin on WordPress, I'm able to actually suck in a piece of that content, and then it links back to the website where it actually gets listed. So you can see here, this one's from TLNT. It brings in a piece of the actual content, and then it just links out to where that post lives. So I've turned this website to basically a site that gets over 10,000 monthly visitors on a regular basis. It has an email list of about 1,000 people on it that get the daily headlines. And this is one of the ways I leverage content to do marketing, right? So I can not only market my own stuff to that list, to the site itself, I get advertisers on here to make money off of. So they buy links, they buy ads on the right. And curation is a way I found to do a lot of the stuff I do overall. So, and I take that curation. It doesn't require me writing a lot, right? I'm actually leveraging other people's content in a lot of respects around this. Same thing with HR Tech Feed. I started HR Tech Feed maybe 2 years ago now. So it's a little smaller site in terms of traffic, about 3,000 visitors. And that just focuses on HR technology overall. So Laura, you may be interested in the content on there since you're in that space. So it covers a lot of the ATS vendors, other recruiting software, things like that overall. So that's one of the ways I've curated content over the years to my advantage overall, right? So I kind of want to point that out. Another quick story I'll mention is that about 3 years ago, I was, one of the ways I actually find content today is press releases. Let me pull up PR Newswire actually. So I basically, every morning I get up, one of the first things I do is I look at the press release sites. And PR Newswire is probably the best one out of this. They have actually a category for HR and management. And I look for stuff that I can use. A lot of surveys get posted there, studies, of course, acquisition news. And I go repost that to I'll go repost that to a lot of HR tech feed. Or if I find an HR study that happened, I might put it on recruitingheadlines.com. And you can take that content kind of word for word and repost it overall. You're not going to get any trouble for that. But a few years ago, there's a company called Owl Labs that pushed out a study on remote work that they do every year. And has some really good content in there. Kind of read like an article almost. So a lot of good stats around how people were working remotely, how many, et cetera. And so I saw that article, I saw that press release, and I decided to turn it into an article. So I took it, I changed the title of it, and I changed the opening paragraph, and I basically cut and paste the rest of it into a blog post on one of my job sites that I had. I then reposted that link to my LinkedIn profile, and within an hour, it started going viral on me. All right. Now, this is something that took, maybe 15 minutes to actually publish out there. It started going viral on me. People started commenting on it. A lot of people from IBM started commenting on it because they were complaining that they just taken away work from home benefits from their employees. And things just went crazy. So within 24 hours, I had like 600,000 views on LinkedIn to this article. Now, that led to traffic-wise, over 10,000 visitors in one day to my website, all from a press release I found online and just basically co-opted into my own. So there's a really great piece of tactical advice as far as content goes. So if you kind of look at this content up here every day, you'll find stuff on here for all kinds of topics around recruiting and HR. I just do keyword searches basically, and see what's out there. A lot of studies get pushed in here. Like here's one today. This is a job site called Handshake, which does college recruiting. Just got 80 million in funding, so I reposted that on HR Tech feed. I changed the title, things like that. Here's another one here about CVS hiring 15,000 this quarter coming up. So I use that content as well. So press release sites are a great source of content ideas and also just general content you can reuse to your advantage. If you just quote from them, you get a lot of great stats you can quote. Overall, I did a post on HR Lancers a while back. Here's another example of curation. If you go on the blog, let's see here. I published this a while back. I put together a post about, I think it was like 16 different statistics about, here it is, for the freelance economy. So this is a post I wrote essentially just by going out and finding these nuggets of information and putting them into a single blog post overall. So basically I just wrote the opening paragraph, created an image and threw it out there overall. And so, and the reason this is a good post is that it's 16 stats. It's like kind of it's an all-encompassing post about the freelance world. So it really gives you a lot of interesting data points around what's happening in the freelance world. And I leverage this post a lot in terms of just linking to it and promoting it and things like that. This is kind of, reusable content as well.
So I have a question about that.
Yep.
So you went out and you found all these stats and everything. Do you have to state where you got these stats from, or?
Yeah, I usually do a sort. You can see here source. So I will you can either link to the source or just say where you got it from. So I do that a lot when I find stats. I'll say source : whatever. Yeah, all these have a source associated with them. It's whenever you're talking about statistics from a study or things like that, you always want to kind of note where it came from in terms of credibility overall. So definitely do that.
Thanks.
Cool. All right. So I had a couple of instances recently that led to me making money off content. And we'll start with the first one, which is an ebook I wrote. So this is RegTech Media. This is my main site that I use for my consulting purposes. It's home to my podcast. It's home to my, there's a blog on there. And it just links out to all the different tools and sites that I have across the interwebs. But I have a number of ebooks on here. And most of these ebooks, a lot of them are curation ebooks. So top 1,000 job boards, employer branding tool spreadsheet. So one thing I found over the years is that HR people and recruiters love lists, particularly lists of tools to help them, do their jobs overall. So this one here, this one in the middle, it's actually 50 diversity hiring tools. I have to update the image there. So I wrote this ebook last year at some point. I just started seeing some of the diversity talk in the news and decided to see, okay, what tools are out there as far as diversity hiring goes. So there's a number of job sites and sourcing tools and what I call decision support tools to help you find and organize diversity talent. And I put it into a simple one-page spreadsheet, essentially, just with a link, a name, maybe some details about it, and that's about it. When I started noticing, though, is that this ebook started getting a lot of downloads on my site. And then came COVID and all the diversity stuff that's happened this year, of course. And diversity has never been a greater topic in the HR community than it is today. So I decided to take that ebook and turn it into a virtual conference, which happened last month in September. That conference had over 330 participants in terms of attendees who came to watch. And I brought on sponsorships. So I sold 4 sponsorships, about $600 each. They were the first half of the show. So the first hour, 2-hour event. I allowed the sponsors about 15 minutes each to kind of demo their tools, talk to them a bit. And then I basically, the rest of the show was just running down the other list of tools that were not sponsors for the audience. So my biggest event ever, over I think it's about 340 registered now at this point, even to watch the replay. And I made over $2,000 on that event, all from an ebook that I created based on, a trend I saw in the market. A lot of, I'm an active listener as far as content goes. So I'm always looking for what recruiters are talking about. And so, Facebook groups are a great source of that. So I belong to a couple dozen Facebook HR and recruiting groups out there. And I listen to what they're saying. And you'll see a lot of them saying, hey, what are you doing are there any diversity job boards, out there? I've seen a lot of these messages in the last several months. And that's where I get my content ideas from overall. And so, but just curating content, right? I didn't have to really do a lot of writing with this ebook. I just had to go out there and search and see what was out there. So I searched on diversity job boards. There's blackjobs.com, techjobs.com. There's stuff for LGBT. There's stuff for Latina, right? There's 8 or 10 different sites now for female recruiting out there. Power to Fly, Fairy God Boss, things like that. So by simply curating that stuff, I create value for the reader. And these are something that I'm probably always going to have on my site. And it's great lead gen for me because I get their email address when they download it. And I turned it into a conference that made money. And so that's my first example today. Out of the simple ebook came a conference that drove over $2,000 into my bank account. It wasn't really a lot of work, to be honest with you. It was fairly easy to create, and all I have to do now is basically, kind of update it every year, and it's going to pay dividends going forward for me for years to come, I hope.
How did you advertise your conference?
So I have my own email lists I built up over the years. I have probably a good 7 or 8,000 recruiters on that list. So I used that. I did a lot of Facebook advertising. I tried some LinkedIn advertising. Not crazy about LinkedIn ads because they don't seem to convert very well as far as signups go, but I did try some of that. I've done a little bit of Google advertising as well, but that's really hit and miss sometimes overall. But just using my own email list, my own social media accounts, of which I have many, and I have thousands of people that follow me or my sites out there. So, it's marketing wise, it's an A to Z marketing approach. We can get into a deeper conversation with that, maybe to another show, but I leverage everything in my disposal: social media, paid, networking. I did a lot of, I created an event on LinkedIn, and I just started inviting people in my network one by one, right? I did that as well, because you can do that now with LinkedIn events. Same thing on Facebook. On my recruiting, created an event on there on my business page, started inviting people one by one I thought might be interested in. So, and now I've got that. And so the sponsors got a copy of those email lists that people signed up, and they got a chance to demo their product. So they got a lot of value out of it as well. So it was kind of a win-win for everybody. And I got a lot of great comments about just thanking me for putting together that entire list, because people don't know these tools and these sites exist out there, and so they really appreciate anybody saving them that time and curating it. All right, let's talk about my other tool, my other tactic. Excuse me. So another thing I did this year was I wrote a blog post, and I had noticed that people were talking about virtual job fairs as COVID hit. So back in March and April, I was seeing some people questioning in groups on LinkedIn, Facebook. Hey, what do you use for virtual job fair software? That kind of stuff. So I looked at that. I said, you know what? I think we need a blog post around what tools are out there for virtual job fair software. And I wrote a blog post back in, it might have been April. That blog post on rectechmedia.com has done very well with Google. So if you search for, I pulled up the search here, and we'll talk about SEO a bit as well as part of this. But if you search for virtual job fair platform on Google, which is a fairly used phrase to find this, I'm number 2 for that phrase on RegTech Media. And this is driving, let's say in the last 90 days, it's driven 113 clicks to my site. It's got over 1,000 impressions in the last 30 days. It's moved up and down in terms of the ranking a little bit, but right now it's number 2. And so here's what that post looks like. So actually it is a podcast. I turned it into a podcast, but I also basically did a full-length blog post out of it that talks about basically everything that's out there. I cover DIY platforms like Zoom and Crowdcast. I have some examples there of a job site company that did their own job fair. Put some details around that. Talked about Crowdcast, which is another DIY option if you want to do your own. And then I went through, did some research again, just searching on Google what's out there. Came up with this list. There's actually more now that I found, but Brazen, Easy Virtual Fair, Hexafair, VFairs, etc. Kind of talk about, I went to each site, I looked at what they do, came up with a few just tidbits on their features, and wrote about them. Got some screenshots. This is one from VFairs. Because they're all kind of different in terms of how they do a virtual job fair. Some of them are very visual like this. Some of them are just, kind of video based. But this blog post, because it was so seen so much on Google, I was getting phone calls from people mistakenly thinking that RegTech Media offered its own virtual job fair software. I must have got at least 8 or 10 of those. One of those actually turned into a client, though. I got called by a staffing company who was looking to do their own job fairs, and they just wanted some help. So they hired me as a consultant to help them do their own job fair. So they paid me $500, and they signed up with Crowdcast, and I kind of ran them through a test event on there as the host. I was the host, and I showed them how to do a job fair virtually. So I made $500 off the posting. And then Brazen called me, which is one of the vendors there, and they offered to sponsor the blog post, and they paid me more money as well. So another example of curating content around a particular subject that made me over $2,000 in funding, kind of out of the blue. Wasn't expecting it. It just kind of happened. And, that's, I think, a simple way of looking at this, right? It doesn't take a lot of great writing to actually make money online in this case. Now, when it comes to, so this blog post has the benefit of having some good SEO. So let's talk about SEO briefly. If your site's been around for at least a year or longer, that's good. You have a little more ranking as far as Google goes. If you're a newer site, it's going to take you, 6 months to a year to start ranking for certain keywords and things. Just depends on how much content you post out there and what topics you're looking at. One of the ways to write SEO friendly content is, I'll give you some basic tips here. So number one, the longer a job or blog post is, the greater it can rank overall. So if you think kind of long form posts like this one, that have a lot of value in them, Google likes that content. So think, over, 1,500 to 2,000 words would be a long form blog post, in my opinion. That's probably like 5-6 pages of content, probably, if you're typing it up. So they like that long form content with lots of value in there. You want to kind of break it up into sections, have different titles for different sections. I have product spotlight, I have DIY tools. I talk about another DIY tool, dedicated shop for a platform. So, I'm mentioning the subject job fair platforms a lot in this article. So there's your other tip, right? You want to mention that phrase multiple times throughout the posting. Probably like 5 to 10 times, something like that. The reason I chose the title 15 virtual job fair platforms was people like lists, number one. But I saw that Google was suggesting the phrase virtual job fair platforms when you did a search. So for instance, when you go to Google, let's see here. Yeah, I ran the search here. At the bottom of the page, they have searches related to virtual job fair platforms. So see these eight different phrases down here. These are keyword ideas for you. So maybe I would do one for how to host a virtual career fair. And if you click on that, that would be an excellent blog post title. If I click on that, let's see what's number one. So those are ads. So 6 Connects, which is a vendor, has one here. Ultimate Guide to Hosting a Virtual Career Fair. How to plan a virtual career fair. How to host a virtual career fair. So there's a blog. It's Rally. It's William Laurie runs that blog. So you can see here that phrase is kind of, it's similar to a lot of the top 10 rankings for it. How to host a virtual career fair. So that's one way of the keyword stuff that you can look at. So I think I happened to see virtual job fair platforms, and I chose that as my title for the blog post. And you can even see here in the the URL, the keywords in the URL. Most blogging platforms are like this, where they're going to put the keywords in the URL. That's also part of SEO. But you always want to kind of reflect what the title of the post is in your URL keyword search there. There's another great tool called Ubersuggest. This is owned by a guy named Neil Patel. He's a big SEO expert. So if you just search Ubersuggest, all one word, you can sign up here. It's a free tool. And this will analyze your website. It'll tell you lots of things about your website. It also has like keyword ideas here. So for instance, I typed in HR consulting. It spit out different keyword ideas. So if I was writing a blog post about HR consulting, I'm going to look at this list of keywords and base my decision off of that. Now, each phrase is, some phrases are more valuable than others, right? So if you look at the phrase HR consulting, that's the most used phrase because the volume is the highest here. So it's about 3,600 queries per month overall. And it even shows that if you buy keywords against that or buy ads against that keyword, it's going to cost you $15 a click. Pretty expensive keyword. Same thing for HR consulting firms. It's $21 a click. The lower you go as far as volume goes, the cheaper the keyword is to buy. But it's also easier to rank for a lower volume keyword here. So if I was running a page about HR consulting, maybe I would do like a curation page. Maybe I would do HR consulting companies. And I would do like 20, here's 20 HR consulting companies as a blog post title and talk about them, right? HR consulting for small business. Here's a great tip for, I think, all of you. Talk about small businesses in your content. You know, for you, Lori, like HR tech consulting, let's take a look at that. Okay, so there's HR tech technology, HR tech consulting. So HR technology is probably the better phrase there. So let me
Try HCM consulting.
HCM too. Yep. Let's try that. Okay, so we've got 260 queries a month. That's fairly light. HR, implementation consultant. So if you have you have a website, Lori?
Yes.
So I would create a page called HCM implementation consultant, and make it a good 600-700 words, and just write about yourself and put it on your site. So there's an example of what I might do out of this data. You might add in like a location maybe, or particular if you're a Workday specialist, maybe you could add that into the title somehow. But yeah, try something like that, and see how that works out for you.
I'm curious what HRIS consulting would look like.
All right. So even lower. So it's not as competitive from that perspective. 90 searches a month.
Good to know. Thanks.
Yep. Yep.
So I noticed on that one,
You could probably rank pretty quickly with this term, in my opinion, because it's so low in terms of volume.
but notice how the price for HRIS consulting services is so much more. I wonder why would that be?
Oh, it could just be a glitch in their calculation. I'm not sure, but don't take these word for word. These are just averages overall. It could be there's a few clients that are really bidding up, or a lot of clients bidding up that phrase, even though it doesn't have a lot of volume. Just my guess, but.
So when you're doing that, on the right-hand side, is that like websites that have those?
Yep. So if we look at HRIS Consulting, these are the top 10 results right now on Google. So we've got HR at mssolutions.com. We got LinkedIn, which is looks like a company page. HRSconsultants.com, HR Guide, HR Tech Partners. They have 2 links in the top 10. HRPayrollSystems.net, HR Architect, and then 2 Indeed links for jobs. So these results tell me that they have very little content around HRIS consulting. So they're throwing jobs on there, which is probably not what you're looking for. So I bet you can rank pretty easily. Plus you've got 2 links from one company. That's always a sign that they don't have enough content for that link, for that search, you know? So yeah, you can try HRIS consulting as well for from a keyword perspective on as a page on one of your sites, and try that out. The other thing I'll mention is, as we start to close up shop here, but is ebooks. So one of my other sites I run is a site called Job Board Secrets. It's a membership site for job board owners. And several years ago, after I got laid off back in 2015, I started writing ebooks, selling ebooks to that audience. So I have a pretty deep domain expertise in that space. That's where I come from. And so I use this company called gumroad.com to sell all my ebooks. And I've made thousands off them in the last 3 or 4 years. I probably make $300-400 a month on these. And so I have a combo pack here I charge for all 8 ebooks for $95. Most of them are like between $20 and $30 each. But it's a great tool. You can use it for free, or it's $10 a month. But if you ever want to write ebooks, I recommend using these guys as kind of a distribution tool. To do that, you can sell them or give them away for free. It's up to you. It's a great lead magnet if you're collecting data, email addresses. And so gumroad.com is a good tool for that overall. You can also put them on, like I use Squarespace, and you can have ebooks on there, but I'm going to be switching all my ebooks on RegTech Media over to Gumroad during the holidays when I have time, just because it's an easier downloading experience versus here where you have to kind of like buy them and put in a bunch of details overall. So, but yeah, that's my kind of last tip for today is, ebooks are great if you can write it, something valuable around your niche, whatever it is. Lori, best practices for implementing HR technology. You can write a nice ebook on there, sell it for $10-20, something like that, or give it away as a lead gen. But it's a useful tool. I mean, I've learned to leverage ebooks, blogging, podcasts, webinars, all to make money over the years. And so today I wanted to kind of give you a little tutorial around that and show you how I did it all, and show you some of the tools that you can use to make money with. So what do you guys think? Did you learn something?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, this was great. Thank you.
Any last minute questions?
No, nothing from me.
No, thank you.
All right. Well, stay in tune. I'll can do another one next month, I hope. I'm gonna try and get Tim Sackett on, see if we can talk about personal marketing a bit. And then I'll think about as well more personal marketing topics we can go over. Tell me what else you guys want to learn about as well. Being a consultant, give me some more ideas if you have any.
I love the marketing. I think that would be wonderful and really helpful.
probably any help surrounding, you know, a successful website also that you'd be using in your marketing.
Yep. Do any of you need a website? Because I actually build those for people as well using Squarespace. But basically, nice, nice. It's got to be mobile friendly, of course, which most of the platforms are these days. I tend to stay away from WordPress stuff because it's a pain to manage going forward, which is why I like things like Squarespace, even versus Wix and things like that. It's much easier to use. But having a site, I think today is really a lot about content marketing and pushing it out there. So definitely blogging is a big tactic I recommend for your website and driving traffic back to it overall. And, thinking about evergreen content that's always going to pay dividends down the road. But all right, I'll put some thought into a website show as well.
Awesome.
All right, well, stay tuned to hrlancers.com. Definitely a lot of remote recruiting roles on there now, occasional HR stuff, posted a few payroll things recently. So still trying to get employers to leverage it more. We've got, that's the one challenge I'm having is, getting employers to post a project or things like that. But the more you can help spread the word about the site too, benefits us all. So definitely feel free to, link, put your profile out there in your site. So we do have a little badge on there you can get. I'm going to put a badge in your site, Lori. It says 5-man HR Lancers. So it's on the, I think it's on the footer on hrlancers.com. So for the badges link, you can grab that there, put it on your sites. And all right, great. Well, thanks for coming up. Thanks for showing up, ladies, and appreciate your time. And we'll see you next month.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you.